The Queen's Gambit is one of the most aggressive opening and it is also one of the most popular openings played at the top levels. And it begins with the move d4 d5 and then c4. This is the Queen's Gambit. White's idea is to deflect black's center pawn, which will allow him to play e4 or e3 and gain central control. Here, black have a few options. First, black can either take this pawn or even he can play e6 or c6 to defend this pawn, and even there is a line where black goes knight f6 to defend this pawn, and I will cover all these lines one by one. First of all, if black takes this pawn, this is the Queen's Gambit accepted. Here, the most common move by white is knight to c3, which is not good. Here, you should go for either e3, e4 or even knight to f6. Let's say after e3, trying to regain this pawn, most of the beginner black players play b5, defending this pawn, which is a bad move. Because you can play a4, undermining the pawn. He cannot play a6 because you can just take that pawn, and he cannot recapture because his rook will be hanging. So here he goes c6. Then you can just take this pawn, and after black recaptures, you can just play queen to f3. You have to sacrifice his knight, and after you recapture, you have to play bishop d7. Then you can just move your queen away and you are just completely winning. And here, even though you play e4, after b5, you just play a4, and after c6, takes, you go with knight c3. If he goes a6, then you can just take this pawn and he cannot recapture because his rook will be hanging. And even though he pushes the pawn, you can just centralize your knight, getting this pawn and this pawn as well, and black is completely lost. So here, after black takes this pawn, you play knight f3, knight f6, and then e3, trying to regain this pawn. Then goes e6, you just regain the pawn, and here, you need to be prepared for the move c5, striking in the center. Don't take this pawn, otherwise he will be able to recapture this with the bishop, and his bishop will be on just castle here, and after c takes d4, you can recapture with the pawn, and the position becomes quite equal. You can develop the rest of the pieces, and then continue to play. Now let me show you what if black plays e6, declining the gambit. In this video, I am only going to cover the e6 move, and in the upcoming videos, we will see the move c6, which is a slap defense, and it's quite theoretical. So here, after knight c3, knight f6, standard moves, and here, there are some variations possible. First, if c takes d5, and here, if it takes with the knight, then you can play e4, and after takes, you recapture with the pawn, and after c5, striking in the center, you can just develop normally. C takes d4 and you recapture, bishop b4 check, you block with the bishop, takes, and then move this bishop out, and then continue to play. And here the main move is e takes d5. After that, you play bishop f4. You can also go with bishop to g5, but then bishop e7 is just a common move. Bishop f5, developing his bishop. You play e3. And here, you can develop your minor pieces. Castle on the king's side. And the main ideas for white is to either pawn storm on the queen side, or you can also play f2, f3 and then e4 to play along the center. And black can also try to play c6 to undermine your center. Just develop all your pieces. Castle on the king's side and put your rook on this open file and then continue to play. Here, there is also popular variation. After knight f3, knight f6, you go e3, and after knight c6, You play knight to c3, and here black goes bishop to b4, threatening to take your knight. This is the Ragozin variation, and here you just play bishop to d3, preparing to castle. Let's say black takes your knight, then you can just recapture with the b pawn, and after castle, you can just recapture in the center, and after black takes, you're having more space and a great position. You can centralize your knight, put your queen on the d2 square to target the h7 pawn, or even play bishop h3 to attack one of this diagonal. Now let me show you a variation in the Queen's Gambit played at beginner and lower intermediate level, which starts with d4, d5, c4, and here black goes knight f6. This is the martial defense. Here you can play c takes d5. Now black have two options, either to take with the knight or with the queen. If he takes with the queen, then you can just play knight to c3, and then you can just develop all your pieces and then continue to play. And here, if they go knight takes d5, then you can just grab the center with e4. Then after say knight f6, you can play bishop d3. Let's say black goes knight c6, then you can just play knight e2. And after something like e5, striking in the center, just play d5. Let's say black move his man somewhere, then you can just castle here, develop all your pieces, and then continue to play. Well, this is not the end. If you want to learn some chess traps in the Queen's Gambit, then you can check out this left video. And if you want to learn some chess openings, then you can check out this right playlist. And if you don't want to miss more amazing videos like these, then don't forget to subscribe.